Happy Sunday. Hopefully, everyone's having an awesome day. Wasn't too sure if I was going to do a live stream today. Um, my camping trip slash shed building project really took a lot out of me. And I didn't get home until around 10 p.m. last night because we had to empty out the trailer. Um, we kind of stopped working around 5, and my camping buddies that was 5. Even though I had a mental debate that we should keep going, I decided it is time to end the project right there. It's looking quite nice. I spent a lot of time leveling the pavers. We cut the 4x4s down to 15 inches because we had 8-foot sections of 4x4. We cut them down. The last two pieces were a little big, which is all right, which is not an issue. We only had to shim one of the one of the beams going upwards. And of course, we had to cut down the two that were really big. But overall, everything was pretty level. It was really dead on level, which was really shocking because that's something that normally doesn't happen. Reading the reviews or instructions and watching YouTube videos, that rarely happens. So, but we got up around, let's say, between 7 and 8. Got working around 9. Stopped working around 5. Actually, building. And then we spent another 4 hours emptying out the trailer since we rented the trailer. So we got it emptied and the trailer's in front of my house, waiting for it to be picked up. This was my weekend, and I knew building the shed was going to be a lot of work, a lot of hard work. But I'm not getting younger. I'm in my 40s. This is the first real shed I built. Actually, really the first shed I ever built. It's a lot of work. With that being said, we're going to talk about the show. We're going to talk about two stories that I heard on the radio last week, which I kind of wanted to do last week, but just didn't find the time. But let's go ahead and get started with the what I normally do is to just take a look at my viewer count. It's 68 subscribers. I thank every one of you. I wish my views were higher. They're a little bit down. My watch time, they could be a little bit higher, but it just means I have to either be more entertaining or people just have to find me entertaining. It's your choice. I mean, it's no pressure. This is more of a hobby for me, so I'm even surprised I got 68 subscribers. And I do get comments and I do read them and I heart each and every one of them. Just want to let you know. Now, my last comment, I think my last comment was from Iris. It says, I never received any notification. I have my bell activated. But, anyways, I'll always watch it later. I appreciate that comment. Usually, when I will know that someone's going live, I usually click on their channel and just refresh and refresh and refresh and refresh, waiting for it to go live. That's just how I am. I mean, every person's different. Um, I know some people really do rely on the recommended page and the alerts, but sometimes you gotta forego all of that and be a little bit more proactive. Um, there's not much I could really do on my part. I'm not monetized. I'm not making money off of this. Well, kind of, but not really making any real money off of this. I have made some money off of Rumble, but I haven't really made a lot of money. I think it was like $10 that I haven't really cashed out. So it's more of a hobby for me at this point. It may blossom to something more in a couple of years. Maybe I get more live viewers when I do live streaming. Who knows? The future is untold. So we're just going to have to wait and see and how that plays out. Now, with that being said, my first one, I got a couple stories open with the same one. Tampa, Florida. Federal jury has found Hillsborough County Sheriff Office 90% responsible for the death of a Tampa teen who was ejected from the Florida State Fair back in 2014. I mean, that's really a long time to go through this. After deliberating, the jury ultimately found the sheriff office responsible for 90%, while they found Andrew Joseph III, the teen who died, 10% responsible. The sheriff deputy in charge that night back in 2014 was found not responsible. Joseph's parents are set to receive 13.5 million following the lawsuit. And then of course you gotta get the lawyer's fee. Today we got vindicated after the teen's father, Andrew Joseph II, said today we cleared his name. Today was proven that the child didn't do nothing wrong out there, and he got in black and white. Oh, we got in black and white. He ain't going to bring them back, but it's going to send a message wide across the road. The family said that they put some of the money as awarded towards the Andrew Joseph Foundation, which was created in their son's honor. The organization educates the community to protect children and young adults. I mean, I'm glad that they're turning something positive into this. Um, I don't know what this foundation is or what it does, but hopefully it's something that's more localized and actually really productive. This has been a long, arduous journey, Joseph's mother, Deanna, said following the verdict. We're so grateful that our team and community has been built in the name of Andrew Joseph III. We all walk the spirit of my son, a 14-year-old son who died here in this place, Tampa, Florida. 10 Tampa Bay, oh, which is the channel, News, Channel 10 Tampa Bay, reached out to the attorney representing the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office for a comment Thursday night, but have not heard back. On Student Day 2014 at the Florida State Fair, Joseph, one of 100 students ejected during the incident along the midway, was photographed, removed from the property, and dropped off without contacting his parents, who said their son did nothing wrong. You know, most of the time when terrible things like this happen and there's a death of a child, they never want to admit that a child did anything wrong. I wasn't there. I haven't been following the story. I wasn't really paying attention in the news around 2014. So I don't know the whole backstory. But as far as teenagers go, when you get them around other teenagers, they're likely to cause a ruckus, which gets them kicked out of events like this. Now, I'm not saying that he was one of the people that were causing a ruckus, but I could definitely see a scenario where he was, which means that he was justifiably removed. But I'm going to continue on. As Joseph tried to run across the I 4 to catch a ride home, he was struck and killed. Local civil rights leaders joined Black Lives Matter on Monday, an organized a demonstration at the courthouse to show their support. I'm pretty sure they want some of that 15 million you got. I mean, I have no respect for the organization Black Lives Matter. I think they're just a money laundering scheme. I think a few people are capitalizing on deaths just to get a paycheck, and I don't necessarily agree with that. We know without a doubt that this young man was racially profiled with no regards for his civil rights, safety, or concerns for his parents. It's always a pastor. Pastor Carl Soto said the wrongful death lawsuit alleges that the Hillsborough County Sheriff Office violated federal law in which the Joseph said required supervision and parental contact with the minor is taken into custody. Joseph says required supervision and parental contact when a minor is taken into custody. So I guess the fact that he was detained, photographed, and released, and the parents were not contacted. I wonder whose fault that was. That didn't happen. There's been several security, safety, and policy changes at the state fairgrounds since this happened. The Joseph says eventually they like to see a part of the area named for their son as a historical reminder of what happened there. Let's see. How much is more is this? So, nearly 100 kids were thrown out of the fairground that night when things got out of hand along Midway. Joseph's family said that their son was a good kid who simply got caught up in it. So, they are admitting some blame there. Uh, Deputies admitted Joseph had really done nothing wrong other than running, but defense attorney says 98 others made it home safely that night. Were it not for Joseph's own bad decisions and his own mistakes, he would be there today. I mean, they're certainly there. From what I heard on the radio, he was on the phone and talked to 20 different people. None of them were his parents. I mean, I don't know how true that is. I was trying to find a story that said that. The one thing the attorneys on both sides did agree on that this was a tragedy. Anytime a child is killed is a tragedy. I'm just going to say that anytime a child dies, it's a tragedy. Anytime a parent, regardless what type of kid that was, anytime a parent has to bury their kid, that's a tragedy because it should be the other way around. But the family's attorney said that the sheriff's office has spent 8.5 years trying to avoid taking responsibility. So my question is, what responsibility should they have taken? I mean, it's a tragic thing. I mean, he was acting a ruckus. He got caught up with the mob mentality, and he was kicked out of a fairground. It was a school event. So where was the school's responsibility for this? I haven't really seen any of the stories I've pulled up, but going off of the radio station I listen to here locally in Austin, KLBJ, with Mark and Linda, there was reports saying that a coach offered him a ride and he turned it down. So why is it he's only responsible for 10% and not, let's say, 90% or 80%? Or is it the fact that the law has accountability? There's a path of recourse for law enforcement since they are in a state official that they make it an easier target. I don't know. These are just questions I have. The sheriff's office defense lawyer says that the deputy in charge that night, Mark Clark, followed procedures and followed the trespassing rule laid out by the state fair. Now, he probably was off duty. He was hired as security because most sheriffs, deputies, and police officers tend to take security jobs. Now, I do know that they never really are off duty and they still represent the county and the city or whatever you want to call it. Even when they're off duty, they still are a representative and they still have arrest powers, if I understand correctly. They claim their son was rounded up, processed, photographed, detained, and ultimately ejected from the fairgrounds in the dark area without so much as a phone call. That they said that it violates state laws and deprived their son of their civil rights. I mean, he was free. I mean, I don't know why they're not mentioning the 20 phone calls unless that's something that's not true and that's something that the radio station got wrong. They also argued since Joseph wasn't technically arrested, they were not legally obligated to call his parents or a responsible adult. In their closing argument, the defense said Joseph had ample opportunity to catch a ride with his home and family, or catch a ride home with his family friends, despite several cell phone calls. He never contacted his own parents to tell him what happened or asked them to come pick him up. The defense pointed out something called casual chain. They say whatever happened at the fair with the deputies occurred 2 hours before Joseph made the ill advised decision on his own to try to run across I 4 to catch a ride home. The plaintiff said that he should never have been put in that position in the first place. The family's asking for the judgment of 30 million in this case. The judge, or not the judge, but the jury deliberating will keep you informed on the verdict as it is announced. Let's see here. Is there anything else? No. I don't think this pretty much says anything more. But here's the thing is I didn't know this person was black until I Googled the story today for this story. I mean, even Fox 13 doesn't really go hard on it like I expected them, which was interesting. But yeah, this is really about personal responsibility. I don't know how old this kid was back in 2014. Definitely a tragedy that he thought he could run across a major highway and the interstate. Um, I don't know. It's very, very sad and very tragic. Um, I think the jury got it wrong here, but that's how our justice system works. Sometimes they get it right, sometimes they get it wrong, and sometimes it's a mixed bag. Now, I mean, I could see the argument that a parent should have been called. I could see an argument where the sheriff should have called his parents as a policy. Let's see here. Actually, I think it was this one. Shortly, somewhere where it says that the fair itself, in the light of this, has changed the rules to where after a certain time period, maybe it was the Fox one, or was it this one? No, I can't find it. But pretty much the fairgrounds changes rules in response to this, which is a responsible thing to do. Think after like 6 or 7, the kids have to be accompanied by a guardian, whether it's a school teacher or school administration or whatever, or by a parent. That way, they have more control over kids, and they're not getting overzealous and acting a ruckus, which would cause them to be kicked out. And also, I think the certain procedures where you do get kicked out, you get sent to the area where cars are, which should have happened in this case. I mean, like I said, there's definitely a some arguments for some responsibilities and failed, but that's pretty much forcing police to be parents and actually forcing them to go way beyond what they expected to do that night. I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses for them, but if for a small town, it's easier for cops to know the parents. It's easier for the cops to contact the parents. And those when you start getting into larger towns and small cities up to larger cities like Dallas, Fort Worth, or Miami or New York City, where kids are not always the most honest, and they may say that their Joe Blow is their father, and Joe Blow comes picks them up, and next thing you know, Joe Blow and the kid is never seen again. Is that the responsibility of the sheriff by not verifying that they were the father? I mean, how much more do they want them to do? Now, like I said, I mean, I can see where I'm actually kind of mixed on this story. I mean, I don't think that They should have won, but at the same time, I understand why juries probably selected that. But here's just another crazy one. Comes from California. Well, actually, this comes from St. Louis. I'm gonna build on to the next one. Hyundai and Kia refuses St. Louis mayor's demand to install anti-theft technology. Company says thieves are to blame for the theft epidemic. I mean, a lock is only there to keep honest people honest. St. Louis, the deadline for Hyundai Motor America and Kia is up. Automakers had 30 days to respond to the demand letter from City of St. Louis to recall their vehicles and install anti-theft devices to stop the theft epidemic involving their cars or face a lawsuit. Their responses the company refuses to recall their vehicles, disagree with the mayor's Tishrawa Jones characterization of their product and said that they're taking some steps to address the problem. Kia's attorney suggests that a new type of car theft is to be blamed for the problem. Jones would not say whether the responses are enough for the company to avoid lawsuit. We will just have to see, she said. The first step again, and they have to have a conversation with our city's attorneys, and we will see what the next steps are after that. Some have criticized Jones' threats similar to suing gun manufacturers for gun violence. When I heard this story, that was my first thought. If they could sue a car company for people stealing their cars easily, then then the next step is to, hey, if we could find car companies responsible for thieves able to steal their cars, then we could sue gun manufacturers when their guns kill people. It's the only logical step. This is a test ground. That's my opinion. That's how I see it. We have to hold manufacturers accountable when there are defects in their products, she said. But also, we're also working with mayors across the county, or country, I should say, to see if this is also an issue that has plagued their cities. And many mayors have told me directly it does. So we're going to be working with the mayors across the country to address this as well. Meanwhile, the latest numbers of St. Louis police shows the problem is still surging. So far this year, 2,409 Hondas and Kias have been reportedly stolen compared just to 205 at the same time last year. That is a 1,000%, well, actually, 1,075% increase, in all which 274, no, 2,900, I can't speak today. 2,794 vehicles were reportedly stolen in St. Louis by September 21st in 2021. This year, 4,684 cars have been reportedly stolen. That is nearly a 70% increase. And the cities have already surpassed the total number of cars that were reported in all of 2021, which was 3,784. This is a nuisance and it has to stop, Jones says. But Honda and Kia says their products are not to blame, and Jones is wrong when she calls them defective. At the issue is at issue is how some makes and models of Hondas and Kias lack the engine immobilization technology that prevents the engine from starting if it does not recognize a computer chip in the key. Without it, thieves can strip the ignition column and start the car with a USB cord. Thieves are also breaking the black windows of cars because they're not connected to not connected to the alarm system, and posting their methods on TikTok and other popular social media platforms. Well, it's up to those platforms to remove those videos. It's up to law enforcement to go after those people for teaching people how to commit crime and incentivizing them to commit crime, all for whatever you want to call it. Executive Vice President of Kia America Incorporated Legal Divisions said the steering wheel locks are an effective way to prevent thefts. We strongly disagree with your statement that the subset of our vehicles that do not contain immobilizers are defective or that these vehicles are the cause of the thefts, property damage, and acts of violence occurring in St. Louis, wrote John Yoon, Executive Vice President of the Legal Division at Kia America Incorporated. Yoon wrote, the new kind of car theft has emerged in some markets who are willing to drive around in the vehicle even though it's obvious outward signs of it being stolen. This is a significant contrast to the traditional thief who focused on vehicles that could be stolen without any obvious signs of theft while driving, and this is what the vehicle designs have largely focused on preventing. The emergence of the new kind of theft is uh, unquestionably a new and unfortunate development, which we are hopeful and confident that law enforcement is keenly focused on eliminating. So, yeah, we're just going to go after manufacturers because why not? We can't go after criminals because we don't want to imprison them. We have DAs that don't want to prosecute, and when they do prosecute, they find every slimy way to keep the perp out of prison. You bond them for 50K when they kill someone. So, of course, why should they worry about getting caught when there's no repercussions or no real repercussions? But of course, Kia and Hyundai face class action lawsuit in Orange County, which is California, over TikTok car theft challenge. The video shows viewers how to hotwire a Kia using a USB cord and a screwdriver. When a when that video went viral, reports of stolen Kias and Hondas soared. Uh, Hyundai's, I should say. Car manufacturers Kia and Hyundai are targets of a class action lawsuit in Orange County over defects in their cars were exposed in a viral TikTok challenge, leading to a spike of car thefts. They're not defectives. I mean, it's sure they may not have the best security. They may not have the same security as some of the other car manufacturers. But the whole point of the lock is to keep honest people honest. If a if a person really wants to steal a car, they're going to steal a car. Doesn't matter what type of device is in there. There's no personal responsibility anymore on the criminal. You literally have DAs letting people off that refuse to prosecute because they don't want people in jail. Because having people in jail, I guess, hurts their record, which causes a cascading effect. When if I could go break into a car with no consequences, I'm only out a couple of weeks for the trial and another couple of weeks in county jail. What incentive do I have to follow the law? Why should manufacturers be responsible for my decision making to wanting to steal a car, going on these TikTok challenges? The challenge spread far beyond Los Angeles, but Orange County is where the lawsuit is filed against two car companies. The LAPD issued a statement warning about the viral TikTok auto theft trend. In 2021, Kia and Hyundai vehicles made almost 13% of the vehicle thefts in the city of Los Angeles. The statement reads, in part, in 2022, Kia and Hyundai vehicles accounted for almost 20% of all vehicles theft and 7% increase of these vehicles. One, one woman said the police didn't even seem surprised when she told them that the car was stolen. They told me there was a TikTok trend where these kids called Kia boys were taking these cars, breaking into them in a matter of seconds, taking apart the ignition using a USB to open the car and turn it on, and taking them for joyrides, said Sylvia Castellano, a plaintiff in the lawsuit. Well, you gotta be aware of your surroundings. If you don't want your car stolen, there's definitely more security that you can put into it. You can put a steering wheel lock. I think they're about $20, $30, sometimes even cheaper, where it has two hooks. You lock them into the steering wheel, and it makes them harder to steal. And then there's the tire lock that you see when the city puts a boot on your tire. You can definitely do those things. The lawsuit alleges that Kia's built between 2011 and 2021, and Hyundai's built from 2015 to 2021, all equipped with traditional keys rather than keyless fobs, were deliberately built without engine immobilizers. The lawsuit states that the anti theft parts are widely used by most auto manufacturers, and the fact that they're missing made these cars easier to steal. I don't think the car manufacturer is responsible. It'll be interesting to see how this case plays out. I wondered if they're actually going to be able to win a lawsuit, or is this going to be one of those ones where you're just, I don't know. It's crazy where you could just sue any manufacturer just because it's easier stolen. I mean, these aren't really high end cars to begin with. I mean, Kias and Hyundais are one of the cheaper cars you could buy. I personally drive a Honda. I know that was one of the cheaper cars on the market, but I was also doing it for fuel efficiency, and they're really well made. And most people that have a Honda really love their Honda. It's a really well built car, and it's a cheap car, but it's really well built. I don't know if mine has the chip in. I definitely have a fob that's attached to the key, so it might have a chip in it that prevents it from being stolen. I don't know. Both of my Hondas were never stolen. The one that I had for almost 10 years, which the winter freeze in Texas killed it, and I replaced it with another Honda Civic. So I never really had any concerns with it being stolen. I'm not really in a area where cars get stolen, and I'm kind of aware of that. Know that Austin's crime is also going high, is getting higher for the same reason, mainly because it's because of our DA. We have DA Jose Garza, who left, who let a minor off the hook, driving drunk and killing his female passenger. Yeah, he did serve, I think, 10 days in county jail, which is nothing. Most people are going to be able to do that. That's a vacation. May not be a good vacation, but it's a vacation. And what is it? You're out on parole. And you had a person that got 11 days in county jail for beating up his ex and sexually assaulting her. Yeah, I mean, they're out on parole, but that's not going to keep the people safe. He's a loose cannon. If he's willing to stalk his ex, beat up his ex, that's not a person I want on the street. And that person is still here in Austin. Who knows if you're going to run into him? Who knows how he's going to act? I don't know if he's learned his lessons. Now, I'm not saying that you should automatically go to prison every time you commit something wrong, but it depends on what you do wrong. We need to hold criminals accountable. It's not up to a company to make their vehicles theft proof. I mean, you're going to have people out there that were going to steal it regardless. Uh, I forget, I don't even pay attention to vehicles, but I'm pretty sure the most secure vehicle is still being stolen, with the company doing everything in their ability to make sure it is nearly impossible to steal that vehicle. And I'm sure that vehicle will still be stolen. What we're seeing is opportunists because there's no consequences, there's no personal responsibility. There literally is no personal responsibility anymore in this country. At least that's what it appears. Now I know if you go out into the country, you go into the boondocks, you get to the no town USA people. There's personal responsibility there. You got people that are working the farm. You got the religious people. Those are personal. Those are people with personal responsibility, and they raise their kids properly. They really do. It's pretty amazing. I mean, the level of respect from a country folk you get from a city folk is completely different. I mean, there's going to be some similarities, but the country folk, you don't even have to ask them to change a tire. They'll just change a tire for you, and they'll think nothing of it. City folk, you might have to ask them, and they'll probably eventually agree. You might have to guilt them, but it's just different. At least in my experiences, my lived experiences. I mean, with that being said, that is my live stream for today. It's going to be a short one. Don't really have a whole lot of topics today. Now, I don't know what my plans are tomorrow because it's either tomorrow or Tuesdays when no, I think it's tomorrow's when they're going to be picking up the trailer. You're going to be picking up the trailer around 5 o'clock, and I get home around 4:15, 4:20, depending on traffic. So I don't know if I'm going to have enough time to do a video around my normal time period, but I'll see what I can do. No promises. If you're watching live, thank you for watching live. I'm going to try to keep this schedule at 5 o'clock on Sundays to go live with a couple of topics. So if you want to watch me live, just come here every Sunday, refresh my page, and hopefully I'm live. If not, oh well, the world continues. For those that are watching, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate every view, to be honest. And if you're watching this after the fact, thanks for watching. What I want you to do is go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button in any all platforms or just the platform that you're currently watching. Leave a comment down below what your thoughts are on these stories. Let me know if there's any other stories you want me to cover. I'll look into it, and if it's interesting to me, I'll probably cover it and give you my opinions. With that being said, have yourself a wonderful rest of the weekend. You deserve it.